Hello, we are back for the final signature for our album. And it's going to be a top and bottom flap. This is the piece of paper I chose to use. And I didn't want to cut and splice through this, so this made perfect layout for an upper flap. And then the bottom half to this is what's being used down here. And I am going to put Mr. Frog here on the bottom. Then when you open this up, this is another one, another 12 by 12 that has this limb coming across. And that's what I'm using here at the top. And then its corresponding partner is going to be down here on the bottom. Up here, I'm making a little card that will be using some of that beautiful plaid pattern. That's going to go up here. And I am going to only be taping 3 of the sides because I want you to be able to utilize this as a tuck as well. Down here on the bottom, I just picked some trim, any old trim that I thought would work and blend in with this. And I cut a pocket. And then I'm using the ephemera piece. It's got the mushrooms and the log, and we're just going to lay this across here at the bottom. So that's the top and the bottom. Now let's dig into the inside. I'm sorry, I've got something in my throat. Okay. A little bit different going on here. You have several long sheets that have this pattern on it. I cut that out and I am simply going to glue that up here at the top, just more as a decorative element to this piece. Down here, I have fussy cut this, and I want to show you where I got this piece at, but I should have had it ready, but let me see if I can't find it here for you real quick. It's on the bottom of one of the 12 by 12 sheets that has some cards on it. And that piece is on the very bottom. I am so sorry. I am just fishing and digging here to see if I can't find where I found that. But it's across the bottom of a 12 by 12 piece of paper. And I've cut into everything that there is. So all I have left are the cards that I'm going to be cutting apart. Wow. I don't know which, just very carefully look through all of your 12 by 12s that you have remaining. You're going to have a strip that runs the full length of the 12 by 12 that has this element on it. Now I cut this out and then I tacked it onto the cardstock. And then I cut around the cardstock, and this is going to be a pocket here. Trying to help you out here, but I think it's only on one sheet of paper. Because I'm not seeing it. It's not on this, because this came off of this. I feel bad. I'd like to be able to help you out here, but I can't find it. So it's not this. I've got to trim those out. It's not this. It's not on this for the back. It's not on the floral. So it is on the bottom of one of the 12 by 12s you have left. So I'm not sure where it came from. I apologize. But So like I said, I fussy cut this out. There's another little mushroom that comes up here. I cut it off. The clock has the little clock wind-up handle. I cut it off because they're too fragile to create a pocket with. So then I just continued to trim. And like I said, I mounted it, and then we're going to make a pocket down here at the bottom. So there's only one sheet that you're going to find this on, and it should be in your remaining papers that you have. So I'm going to put this here. And then I'm going to glue this down. And I'm going to turn this sideways so I can see how I'm gluing it. I might be trimming some of this off. So I'm just going to straight lay this down. Oh no, I got it cut just about right. Too much glue. Okay, I'm going to turn this over. It's going to be easier to burnish it from back here. All right, that's our base page. So you can still put a photo in here, but you've got this pocket where you can put some journaling items, whichever it is that you want. Now, Charlie, you bad girl, you. I trimmed this the same as I did the other pages at 8 1/4 by your 8 5/8 of an inch. And then we're going to work on the side panels first, because those have to go down before we put the top and the bottom flap. So your right side flap is going to measure at 5 3/4 of an inch across by 8 7/8 or 8 5/8. 8 5/8 in height, and then you're going to score at 1/2 inch, and we're just going to tuck this right in there. Now our left side panel, I think, should measure close to the same. 5 3/4 of an inch across, 8 5/8 in your height, 1/2 inch score on the edge. And again, I'm still rounding all my corners. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and decorate so that when this all comes together, it'll be pretty much done. Okay, so on the inside, we are going to play with this dark blue evening style paper. And how I trimmed this is that I trimmed up here. It came in about, looks like maybe 1/8 of an inch up this seam. And then I finished cutting over. So what I ended up cutting off on this left-hand side, I ended up cutting this much of the tree off. Hold on to this, because we're using it over here. Okay, so that gets trimmed there. Now, I mentioned this on the last video, that if you have to trim something in or out, like I did this, it took away from this right side panel. There's a big gap here. Well, no worries. We are just simply going to make a nice little pocket. And this piece is what we're going to use to decorate this. All right. And then I took some Wink Estella. I didn't finish that though. I took some Wink Estella over here to the right side. And I think I'm going to take some Wink Estella here. Make these windows look nice and bright. And then we'll touch on some of these fireflies. Okay, let's start with this side. Just sneak up to that. Oh, I'm doing it at the wrong side. Goodness sakes, Charlie. I'm glad I saw that. What was the matter with me? I wasn't thinking. Now I gotta wipe that off because that's a part of my pocket. Let's get some tape on this. Line it up. Okay. I'm sorry, I don't like the gap at the bottom, and there wasn't the right gap at the top. It was too close. Pull it off while I can. Okay, so that side's done. So let's go ahead and come over here. And I put Wink Estella on the lamp, and the fireflies, I don't know why, that's a tongue tie for me. Okay, so this is done. We're going to close this, and then we're going to cover these two panels. So this is the piece that I used, is this one. And you can see that I trimmed up through this mushroom right here. So how I trimmed this one was from left to right is where I made this trim to fit this panel. And then I went from right to left, and that's where I trimmed this so that I had this piece here. And those are the two that are going to go down. I'm not doing anything fancy with either one of these. They're more for statement pieces. You can still do some journaling. You could put a really small photo up here in the corners if you wish. Lots of big images on this collection, and I tried really hard not to destroy them, but to try and utilize them. Like I said, I think this would be a great adolescent album. And we'll put glue on this side. Okay, so let's start with the bottom flap. The bottom flap is cut to 6 1/8 in the height. The width, it's cut to 8 3/8 in the width. I cut it a little bit wider than the base page because we want to wrap these corners so that these, if I'd cut it the same, these corners would be sticking out like this. So by cutting it at 8 3/8, then when I put this on, it's going to cover the edges and the corners. You're going to score it at a 1/2 inch, and you're going to score it at 5/8 of an inch. And because I want this on top, we're going to be bringing everything right up to that 1/2 inch score line. Well, nope, I lied. We're bringing everything up to this 5/8 score line, my apologies, and that's allowing this to wrap over cleanly and seal this in. Okay. Oh shoot, Charlie, Jesus, my knees, Louise. This was the bottom piece. Okay, we're going to try this again. Okay, we're going to bring it right up to that 5/8 score line and fold it over. Oh, what a ridiculous move that was. All right, so for the top piece, get that apart there. Again, this is going to measure at 8 3/8 across, but your height this time is going to be at 7 3/8 in height. And you're going to come in here and you're going to score it at a 1/2 inch, and then you're going to score it at 5/8 of an inch. Same rule applies. We want this to wrap everything. So we're bringing the top of the page right up to the 5/8 score line and press that down. And there we have that piece. Magnets. I think I'm going to put two, one on each end here. push that up just a little bit. A little bit. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, because this is magnetic, it allows me to place these and they pretty much will stay in place unless I make big jarring movements. So I'm going to leave that one and I'm going to set this. Bring this back down, set that one. So one of the nice things about this particular mat, but I still miss a lot of the features of my glass mat. Okay, there we go. Separate, please, there we go. Alrighty. There it is. All right. Okay, so on the inside here, like I indicated earlier, you're going to pull out this piece and we're going to trim it so that it fits across like so. And then we're going to you take any of these little cards that you want to make your little pocket. Now this trimmed out for me at 6 1/4 inches, and I scored it at 3 1/8. I apologize, by 4 1/8. So 4 1/8 in your height, 6 1/8. I am so sorry. Stop. I must be having some blood sugar issues, so I'm going to sit here and I'm going to drink a little bit of water and I'm going to focus. That's really embarrassing. So let's try this again. 6 1/4 inches in your length by 4 1/8 in your height. And then you're going to come in here and you're going to score it at 3 1/8. Now, double check your measurements. It has a lot to do with how you cut and trim this piece. That's what I made this to. So I'm going to glue this on here. And then I cut from that plaid piece, I cut these two to go in here, so that you've got a nice pretty spot here for your pictures. A little bold pattern for doing any journaling, unless you handwrite it on a blank piece of paper or maybe type it and print it out and then put it in here. Stop. Okay, I know I'm not functioning. Okay, I want this to stay closed. Put some glue back on the back of this. finish gluing this piece. Now that will close. Then I'm going to glue this guy on. Okay, so this is made. So let's get this secured. We're going to tape this because of this. And I'm going to put one in the center. Okay, line this up across the bottom and on the edges, and it should line up here just fine. I apologize for the mishaps. All right, now I'm going to take this little guy and I'm going to tape along this opening, along this one, but not through the long opening. And then take this off. And we're just going to move him over here so we can maximize tuck space. See, and then you have this tuck, and you've got for your photos here. Now let's go to this bottom piece here, because this is the corresponding piece to the one that we just cut and fit for the top. And this I'm going to glue in because I don't have any magnets. And then I cut this piece. This measured 1 1/4 inches by your 8 3/8. Now this is going to be a rather thin tuck, so I'm going to use an 1/8 of an inch tape. I don't want to lose the ability to really use this little pocket we're going to make here. Okay. Now in your scraps, you can pick and choose any scrap that you wish. I chose one that still had what looked like to me to be kind of the theme that we've got here. So this was some tall grass, there was some leaves over here, and this was that little spiny plant. And I just trimmed it to fit. I didn't want to put anything bright. Blue would not work. And now we're going to cut this so I can lift this. Let go, let go. It just wants to stick to me. And I just caught myself. I cut a splice right through here, the top of this mushroom. I cut a splice right there so that I didn't remove this tape, because this is going to stand up over the top of this and you don't want to tape it closed. So I'm going to bring it right down here at the bottom, put it in the center. And then by not removing that, this is not closing up on me. So I'm still able to get in and utilize that pocket. All right, now we've got those done. And let's go ahead and let's work here. So I cut and trimmed this, and we're going to put the word home. And then this was oh no. I cut, no, I'm, Jiminy's Charlie. You're doing just fine. Girlfriend, you are just really all over the place today. Okay, so this is the top piece. This is the bottom flap. And this is where I'm putting Mr. Frog. And then I cut out and I matted and I popped up the word home. It's going to go right here. I am definitely getting something to eat when I get done here. Sorry, I'm human. I have frailties. Now, there are several quoted sayings, so you can pick whichever one you want. And I like this. It says happiness in little things, and then here's home. I don't know about you, but I'm happiest at home most of the time. Okay, I'm going to cap off my glue because I am getting to the finish line here, and I won't be needing that. I'm going to be taping this. And again, this is the bottom to this. I'm going to cut this on the diagonal. Okay, I think we're done. Glad I put 2 magnets, even though this one's holding. I forgot that I was putting that element on there. So, okay, so we've got that. We've got a nice grip actually. We've got this. We have this pocket down here. We've got a tuck up here with 2 spots for photos. And then I didn't do anything here. I'll let you use your imagination if you want to just leave them or add something to them. And then we have this side here, cutting this side, using the tree that we cut off here on the left. We're using that to decorate here on the right. And then this came off the bottom of one of the 12 by 12s. And again, my apologies, it's the only one there was. And then I just taped in this element here across the top. And you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but if you've already done it, then that means you're finished. Okay, let's turn it over. All right, this is the last one for our album. And it will just square up and sit in here just like this. And I think I'm going to be brave enough that I am going to set it down in there. And it's time to burnish. Now I've got to be careful because I don't want to tear this element up here. All right, we got her done. Your album is finished. Thank you for playing along, and again, I sincerely apologize for any mistakes that I caused you. And if you have not purchased this collection, would like to do so, you can pick it up from Scrap and Create. And if you haven't subscribed to my page, I would love it if you would. And until the next album, I'll see you then. Bye-bye.